but not too soon. I worship the moon. I worship the moon. My knees fall weak, my heart doth swoon. I worship the moon. Through the streets, back to me, falling eyes I can't see all night long, but not too.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I don't know if this is working. We're gonna find out. Boy, howdy, are we gonna find out. How welcome everyone. This is Thoughts on Bots. Thoughts on Bots. I think I'm audible. You're gonna all let me know if I'm not, and I'd appreciate it. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is Thoughts on Bots with Geartooth Red Jefferson, where I review BattleBots. I review today's episode of BattleBots. It's very exciting. A lot of fun, action-packed stuff. I'm still trying to suss out my windows here, but we're gonna do it. This is how it's done. This is how the pros do it. Thank you all so much for joining us. Call the number. This is a BattleBots show, Geartooth Red Jefferson, run by Loser Lee's Wrestling and Associates. Call this number. This number right here. That's the hotline. You could talk to me directly. Or when I'm not on the show, you could hear hot gossip about wrestling. That's the fun of this show. There's a lot of interactivity. Sound off in the chat if you feel so inclined. And thank you all so much for joining. We're going to talk BattleBots. We have to get into the show right now. Oh, some things. We already talked about that. I have these things to illustrate my mood as it occurs. So you all know what's going on, just so everyone knows. I mean, fudge. I can't swear too quick into this thing. I'll get banned. Moving on. Let's go with the first match of the night. Okay, let's see here. Okay, BLOODSPORT versus SUBZERO. BLOODSPORT here. Let's swing that open. Run by Justin Marple. It's a bar spinner, horizontal bar spinner. Very beautiful looking bar spinner, and it's already got a 1 loss to Whiplash. This spot, it's been around for a while and it's had some success, but it's never met the success that I think it was garnering, especially last year in a field full of a lot of rookies. It did well. It got pretty far into the 16, but it's no heavyweight. You know, it's nothing that's going to win the giant nut. I don't think so, but who knows? Right here we have sweet SUBZERO. Everyone knows SUBZERO. SUBZERO has been around forever. It's this flipper bot. It's a pneumatic flipper, I believe, and it's got a little distraction bot on the side. I don't know what it's called, but it's run by Logan Dad. Logan Dad. You're gonna have to let me know if that's real. My handwriting's rough. It's already got a loss to Shatter in a non-televised match, which was pretty good. The thing is, SUBZERO's always had trouble in terms of being consistent and being reliable. But it's always, I just love the heart of the bot. It's like a real plucky Mikey Whipwreck type style bot. And I always want it to be the best, but this is a really good matchup for BLOODSPORT. Let's see how it goes. So they meet in the middle here, and they dance around a little bit. There's a lot of dancing. They're trying to figure out each other, see what the other one's going to do. BLOODSPORT is way too good. I'm fixing it. Tell me how you're enjoying the music. I do believe there's music. And let me know if there's an echo. Shoot. That's a good point. That's a good point, Red. There might be an echo. We should listen to what this sounds like. We should do that, right? That's a thing to do? I don't know where my phone is. Oh, yeah. Give me your calls at 201-574-7222 while I figure out if this sounds appropriate. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're doing good. Thank you all so much for bearing with me there. This is a labor of love. we're figuring out together. But they dance around each other here for a spell. And then they start making some hits, and BLOODSPORT is making some contact with SUBZERO, but SUBZERO's taking it, acting like a little wedge. And it was a pretty effective wedge, but it didn't realize it should hold off on those flips until you get to the side. It's trying to do these running flips, and it doesn't have the time right. They just couldn't get it, so they were making a lot of unnecessary dives into the spinner, and then eventually just taking too many hits. It was doing well for a while, but then it started to get a little slap happy. And then BLOODSPORT just kept hitting. It starts smoking at one point. Just starts smoking and knocks off one of its wheels. Oh, geez. It goes rolling away, and it stops moving after that point. And then we get the KO for BLOODSPORT. Good win here. They used one of their older blades that was kind of iconic for them. It looks like kind of like a medieval crucifix or something like that. It's pretty gnarly looking. But I've never seen this bot being a serious contender for the night. Oh God, I hate that I'm saying that so casually. But I do see this bot going into the top 16, being successful when it can, but I don't see it making any big moves. I wouldn't be on the lookout for this bot. That's a fresh bot thought. Moving on, let's go to the next match. Whoa, let's see how I did. Yep, I guessed it. BLOODSPORT beats SUBZERO, so I'm doing pretty good tonight. As you can see down here in the bottom right, I guessed it, and I did a really good job of it. Moving on, we got our next match of the night. COBALT versus GHOST. Now, COBALT here used to be run by a British team, but it was bought by someone in the States. It's run by John Mladek, I think of Gigabyte fame, and it's raced by someone else. I forget their name, but COBALT's this vertical disc spinner that's incredibly gnarly. At one point, it was described as the vertical disc spinner style of Tombstone, a Tombstone style disc spinner. But it's very destructive. Ripped Duck's face off at one point. Didn't kill Duck, because old Duck was great Duck. But it's a very vicious bot, and it had a hard first match against Fusion. It fought Fusion, and I was really upset then, because I didn't like the Ewers. I like Reese Ewert a lot more than any other Ewert, but I was pretty upset because I was expecting COBALT to win that match, but Fusion got him. So it's 0-1 right now. It's going against Ghost Raptor here. Here, this horizontal bar spinner. It's run by Chuck Pitzer. And as you'll know, the last time he fought, he faced, I believe it was Glitch. They faced Glitch. And he was very nice. He helped them out before the show to help fix their bot when it was having trouble. He didn't need to do that, but then he helped them out in the ring. They got stuck in the corner, and it was just being a good sport. But now here we are. He's 0-1 because he was being a good sport. That's what happened last time. But let's see if he has the killer instinct that you need to be a BattleBots champion. They go at it. Let's see what this looks like. They go right after each other, right into each other. And COBALT gets some big hits immediately off the top. And there was this one point when COBALT kept being very active, very aggressive towards what's their face, Ghost Raptor in the beginning, and then it charges in and it gets stuck in the screws for a second. And Ghost Raptor just like circling back, not doing anything. That was your time. Now, Chuck, I appreciate that you're being a good sport, but you just wasted your own nut opportunity. You lost your opportunity to nut, and so you missed out on that. And then, as soon as COBALT breaks free, takes advantage, pushes him around, skips him a beat. Here we go, right into the corner, and then it gets it up onto its side, and it can't get the direct hit, so it just drives it into the wall. I'll try to do this best I can. Drives it into the wall. Almost there. Oh, shoot, let me get this explosion real quick. And it doesn't blow it up like it would. I don't have a graphic of this. It splits it in two. It splits Ghost Raptor into two pieces. Beautiful hit, beautiful story, and I hope COBALT goes far. I like COBALT. I think COBALT could do great things. It's a very sturdy little bot. A lot of armor, dense armor, and it's got that vicious spinner. I think it can go far. We're going to see, though. We're going to see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think in the comments, or give us a call. You can talk to me live. I don't care. I'm not going to stop you, but maybe I will. Moving on. We have to go to the next match. I have Hard Eyes for COBALT. Let's see how I did on this this portion of the show. Cobalt versus Ghost Raptor. I had it guessed right. I had Cobalt guessed. I think I'm doing really good this night. Let's see how we continue on this course. We got ICEWAVE versus DEADLIFT. ICEWAVE versus DEADLIFT. Now, here's ICEWAVE. Old bot. Been around for several seasons. But they have, well, several seasons back, but they haven't been in regular contention since 2018, I believe it was. And they're a giant horizontal bar spinner here. Run by Mark DeWitz. And they've had a pretty legendary destruction career, but they used this new motor this year, which it fought, who to fight? Black Dragon earlier, and they box rushed it, never got a chance, and they just demolished ICEWAVE. But he went back to his tried and true motor, that old motor that we saw that was very loud and aggressive. Let's see how it fared against this guy over here. This is DEADLIFT, run by a bunch of muscle bros. That's the best way to describe them. Run by Ryan Slawski. It's a grapple bot here. And honestly, it's never been very impressive. It's never been able to do the stuff that it needed to. It's won most of its matches, if not all of its matches. And we're not expecting terribly much. Lost against Jackpot in a untelevised match earlier this season. Let's see how they do here. So ICEWAVE, immediate on the onset. There's a box rush because everyone knows the box rush these spinners. Box rush. And ICEWAVE maneuvers out of the way. Gets time to spin. And then immediately, big hits. Bow. Big hits. Then gets a 4 or 5 big hits. As you can see here from the illustrations, he's really having a time. Oh man, what am I doing here? Here we go. Really get some big shots in, and then it comes around, starts on fire. Starts getting on fire here. We have a fire in the battle box now. Not that big, but it was reasonably big, and stops moving. We get a win, a KO win for ICEWAVE. ICEWAVE, honestly, it's an older bot, and bots have gotten a lot better, but they have gotten less impactful in some cases. I think there's a lot of room for ICEWAVE. If ICEWAVE has the motor that he has right now, and he's able to drive smarter than he ever has, he could be a serious contender. Honestly, we're trying to think about people who are going to beat Sawblaze. That's what we want to think about. Who's going to beat Sawblaze? Because Sawblaze looks nasty this year. Absolutely nasty. You see what did the Mad Catter? Not cool. So honestly, ICEWAVE might be just different enough if they could spin up fast enough. Let's see how I did. Let's see how old Geartooth did this time. ICEWAVE beating DEADLIFT. I'm doing a great job. These were my guesses, and these were done before. The show, and I promise you that I wouldn't lie. Next up, we get BLIP versus OVERHAUL. So we got BLIP here. Run by Aaron Hill. It's a launcher. I would call it flipper, but apparently on the BattleBots website, it's a launcher. I would love to see them explain the difference. So we got this bot here. It's a 1-0 against Rusty. It's a weird style flipper. It's not pneumatic. It's not hydraulic. It's this weird pulley system that's inside the bot. And they try to describe it like catapults, like old-timey catapults, and what it does inside. Very interesting, and it's apparently able to flip a lot more times. Maybe not as powerful as a Hydra, but definitely as often, or more often. But it's always interesting because the flipping mechanism is on the top of it. And if it were lower on the lip, I don't know, maybe there's a design issue that I don't understand. But they're going up against, let's get this. Okay, they're going up against OVERHAUL. OVERHAUL, long, distinguished career. At one point in the early new generation of BattleBots, was a pretty interesting bot, interesting contender. It was a great grapple bot, very fast, very maneuverable. But in the age of where every bot is fast and maneuverable, it doesn't shine as much. It's a grapple bot. It's run by Charles Guan. And who used to be on the team, Sawblaze. Jameson Go. Sawblaze. And so they're going to fight. This is the match. So as they start off, as they start off here, Overhaul actually gets a pretty decent advantage at first, grabbing Blip and flipping them over. Flipping over, but Blip has this really interesting popping mechanism. They just flip when they're upside down, and it flips. Jeez Louise, you know what it's like. Y'all know what it's like running a BattleBots program. Sometimes you flip the wrong bot. I'm gonna flip that bot later though. Flips back up onto its side, and then it starts the flips on Overhaul. So it gets him in the corner and gets some pretty sick little flips, as you see here. Woo! And then we're gonna get another one. Woo! I wish I could do it a little bit more faster. I just want to be able to do this faster. Get some serious flips, doing some severe damage because it just already rattling it up. It's an old bot. I can't take it. Then Overhaul here loses a wheel. There's a wheel in the battle box now. And Blip it keeps getting those flips, but at one point, it just starts spazzing out, flipping itself a bunch of times. Let's see if we can get this going. Maybe I can figure out an animation button. I'm sure there's a way to animate in OBS. Sound off in the comments or send us email loserleavespod if you know how to do things. But it's doing its own jumpy thing during the match. But it does get the count out and the KO, and we get Blippy winning its second match. It's now 2-0, old Blippy. I don't see this bot going far. It's beat Rusty. Yeah. And it's beat Overhaul. Yeah, it's Overhaul, bless them. At one point, they might have been a more serious bot. But even when they were a serious bot, they weren't that serious. You know? Tell me what you think. Moving on. We're keeping this night moving. Keeping the night moving. Oh, did I guess Blip was going to win? Or did I guess Overhaul? I think this is my first loss. I get Blip. Excellent job, Red. Excellent job, Geartooth. You have a thing sometimes. Sometimes you just know. Sometimes you know. Sometimes those gear teeth starts chewing, and you know that you're right. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think. Moving on, we have to keep on moving. We have to keep on moving because this show can't stop. You can call the number, though. You can't call the number where you could talk bots. I'm not trying to peer pressure anyone. Maybe this is a shy crowd. Maybe that's the case. I understand. But if you call afterwards, you also get a pretty great voice message. Moving on, we have Huge versus Retrograde. Very interesting matchup. I was a little nervous for this matchup. Let's see what it looks like here. Huge, run by Jonathan Schultz, vertical bar spinner. At one point, a very scary bot. A very, very scary bot because no one knew how to deal with it. No one knew how to deal with this giant bot on these two giant wheels. You couldn't reach its mechanics, so you couldn't really attack it. It had this big weapon that was always above you. Very scary stuff. But then they figured if you just push it into the screws or against the wall, you could get it out pretty easily because of those bendy wheels. And once the secret is out, everyone found out about it. Everyone found out about it and everyone started doing it. So it's had a rough couple of years. It's definitely had a rough couple of years. We can't be too mad. But I like them. I like them. They did have a lose against Riptide, but that was more weird fluke. We can't tell. Let's see Retrograde here. Retrograde here, it's a lifter and an undercutter. They didn't have their undercutter on for this match because it wouldn't make sense. But it's run by Aaron Lucas, and they're 1-0 against Rampage, and they're a grapple bot. They're pretty decent. I think they're pretty good. Haven't seen too much of them. The win against Rampage wasn't like great, like a crazy win, like oh my god, because they're both pretty new bots. But let's see how they did here. Huge goes right into the center of the battle box, like a king, like a prince, just scoping out, and Retrograde's circling around, trying to figure out where to get that attack. Where to go in, where to go swoop in. Every time it tries to go in, ooh, it points that spinner right at him, and then Retrograde retreats. But eventually, pop. Gets a big pop there, and a little piece goes flying, but even that was just an opening enough for Huge. Pop, pop, pop. Gets pieces, broken off pieces of this thing, and it's really starting to feel it. Another big pop over here, and then we get a fire. Big old fire in that box, and then we get then Huge recognizes the win, just starts dancing around the battle box, and there's that platform that they have this year, which is pretty cute. It climbs up on the platform, and starts spinning breakdancing. It was such a cute sight, and I feel really happy for it. And Jonathan Schultz was crying afterwards because he really wants to win. He really believes in Huge. Well, I believe in Huge too. I think Huge versus Sawblaze is an interesting fight. I think it's an interesting fight, and but they're so fast and maneuverable. Who knows? They're probably going to push him right out. They have to think of something different. Huge has to adapt. Huge has to figure out how to defeat Sawblaze, not the other way around. Let's see how I did today. Let's see how I did. So I've been doing really well so far, and I got Huge. I got Huge, and we're doing really well in these rankings today, in these guesses. Great guesses, Red. Excellent work. Doing great work. Moving on, we're hitting up to the next match here. We got Copperhead versus Fusion. Copperhead, big old a drum spinner here, vertical drum spinner, run by Robert and Kimberly Cohen. And they're 1-0. They beat Lockjaw earlier this season. A pretty fun competitive match. And they did pretty well last season. Yeah, so I have high expectations for them. Not my favorite drum spinner because they're not named Minotaur, but we'll see. Moving on, we got Fusion here, run by what is now my favorite viewer, Reese. You heard it here first, folks. I'm cool with Reese. Seems like a humble fellow that's embarrassed by his dad. Don't quote me on that. But I think the Ewers, they can fight dirty, and they will fight dirty. But not Reese. Sweet Reese. We like Reese. It's a vertical and horizontal spinner here. They got both, which makes it a complicated bot. And I thought it was just going to be a garbage heap forever because it was the last couple seasons. But it had a pretty great showing against COBALT. Really great showing. I thought that bot was going to get demolished, but it did not. That is not you thought that was a ring that I was supposed to answer, and that was going to be our first bot thought. But no, this is, I have the first bot thought. Let's keep going. They're going to have a match here. And let's see how it goes. Gentle taps at first. Excellent little taps. And then at one point, the spinner on Fusion here stops working. So then it's just acting as a wedge bot, trying to kill Copperhead's weapon. But it keeps getting these little butts, and then it realizes it has to attack eventually, and starts using that horizontal spinner. Gets a few little hits, but not enough for Copperhead. They just go to town, punching, hitting this bot, flipping it upside down like a fool on Friday, flipping it up, flipping it again. We're always going to get two flips. No matter the cost. Another flip, and then sets that dang bot on fire. The baby Ewert is on fire, and it's a hard match there. And we get the KO for Copperhead. Copperhead is he's a contender. I do think that Copperhead could go far. Do I see him beating Sawblaze? No. That's who we have to think. That's what we have to think about this now. Who's going to beat Sawblaze? Who's going to be a contender for Sawblaze? I think that few people have this calling in them. I think a Huge has a shot. I think Whiplash has a shot. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I don't think Copperhead, bless them. Let's see how I did here. I think I fucked up with this one. Nope, I do it. I pick Copperhead. I did pick Copperhead. I was worried there because I am liking this Ewert. I do like this Ewert a lot more, but I did a good job here. Excellent job, Red. Excellent illustrative work. Excellent. And you all hear the music, right? Tell me you could hear the music. Moving on, we get our final fight of the night. It's the main event. Welcome to Blood Dome. I don't know what I'm saying. We got Whiplash versus Skorpios. Whiplash here, run by Maddie Vasquez. It's a lifter. Used to have a vertical spinner on top, but it hasn't had it this season so far, which is very interesting. They are coming in at 1-0. They beat BLOODSPORT earlier in the season in a fun little match. I think it was the main event, maybe the first main event. But they did a good job. And they will do a good job. Maddie Vasquez is a great driver, and I do see Whiplash top 4. You heard her here. I'll say it's top 4. Sawblaze, Whiplash. Those are my top 4s right now. I only have 2. Just now, but I'll get there. Against Skorpios, who was a potential top 4, but they made a silly mistake. We'll talk about it. So here we have Skorpios run by Zachary Little. It's got a hammer axe up top, a hammer saw. It was 1-0. It beat Blade, which isn't a great win because they've had a pretty rough time so far. But it's got this vicious little scoop up front, and it's got that hammer. The hammer never really did much, to be honest. It's not Saw Blaze's hammer. It doesn't have the weight. It doesn't have the strength. But it can drive. This dude can drive that little bot. And they had a match. Let's talk about this. It was basically a wrestling match for a large part of it. A lot of pushing around. A lot of pushing into corners. A lot of trying to get the advantage. It started off with actually Whiplash pushing Scorpion onto the screws. Pushing on the screws, and it gets stuck. It gets stuck in these screws trying to get off. And he just stays there. And I get it. You're trying to win, and you're both control bots. You're both you're both great drivers. You can take any advantage you can get, but let him off the screws. He's not stuck. Let's have a fight. But he gets off, and then we get some fighting back and forth. Could never get that axe to go. This guy had so many opportunities to get that axe in, but the issue was it wasn't spinning fast enough, or it wasn't hitting hard. I don't know, but it looked bad. But it was getting control. But the thing is, because of the thing with the screws, and then because of the fact that its weapon started working, they got the win. We see they got a judge's decision, Whiplash. And honestly, they deserve a win. They deserve to win that match. What am I doing? They deserve it because they did a great job of control. Apparently, their wheels went out in the middle, which allowed Scorpios to kind of get some advantages. But I really wanted the best for Scorpios. What they did that screwed them over is they put some forks on the front, which kind of they kept bobbing up, and they didn't have the same stability as it had when it was just those nasty looking scoops. And I think it was shorter like that would have been a lot better. I don't know what their goal was to have those scoops like that, because it took away a lot of their low ground, which caused a lot of the early advantage, and maybe the reason why their weapon broke. Who knows? But we have Matty Vasquez moving on. Definitely gonna be a top contender. How are they gonna do against Saw Blaze? I believe Saw Blaze beat it last year. I believe they did. And let's see if I got this right. This one I think I'm almost certainly got wrong. Yeah. I was being hopeful. I was being very hopeful. I should have just went with Whiplash. I should have, because my instincts say Whiplash. I know Whiplash is gonna go far. I just wanted Scorpios to be in that title picture because I love their driving and I love their spirit. But honestly, their weapon junk. No, come on, I don't think it's junk. But it's not powerful enough. It's a weapon that it feels like blacksmith's old hammer. If you know what I'm saying. A lot of show, but there's not even sparks with it anymore, so you don't even see any damage. At least then you got a visual that something's happening. You need to have it spin faster, and it should be heavier. It's 2 pounds heavier than it was last year. Should be 10. Well, you heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. This is BattleBots. This is Thoughts on Bots. Thoughts on Bots with Geartooth Red Jefferson. Let's get back to the main scene. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Make sure to follow Loserly's Wrestling on everything. Okay? Loserly's Wrestling on everything, on Twitter and everything like that. And send us a loserlyspod@gmail.com for some emails. Call this number. If you're into pro wrestling, call that number. There's some hot gossip about pro wrestling. You should watch our live show on this Saturday. We're going to be covering the news. And a lot of wrestling news happened this week. Don't mean to make it about wrestling, but it is sometimes about wrestling. Wrestling and BattleBots, they're the funnest sports there are. They're the most fun. Thank you all so much for joining me. My name is Geartooth Red Jefferson. Follow me at red_Jefferson on Instagram. That's where I like to be followed. Thank you all so much. Have a great night. Bye. And a Geartooth to you.
Through the streets, back to me, falling eyes, I can't see all night long, but not too soon. I worship the moon doth swoon. I worship the moon. Through the streets, back to me, falling eyes, I can't see all night long, but not too soon. I worship the moon. I worship the moon. My knees fall weak, my heart doth swoon. I worship the moon. Through the streets, back to me, falling out.